Okay, thank you very much. We are thankful for the frontliners in the ministry. These are the people who tried it first, and of course, they cannot perfect it as of now. Now we have a question here from uh, Mom Zinia. She was asking about music ministry. For for many churches, it's one of the major ministries in church that was greatly affected by COVID. So since Pastor Harold is not here with us, maybe is Pastor Leo, if Pastor Leo is here and maybe Pastor Dan Asuncion, maybe what can you suggest about what to do with the music ministry? Maybe he's talking about the choir and all those things. So anyone can answer it from the panel?
I will, let me say something. In my church, we don't have the choir. I mean, we never had a choir. So basically, the song leader leads before the worship service. And he does it very, very well, I feel. And it's very like, he leads it because he knows most people are worshiping from home. And so he leads it in a very homely style. Because if you lead it in a choir style and people are at home, a little bit, an atmosphere seems to be a disconnect. So we actually switch the style so that a husband and wife or a person at home can just join in, feeling like it's almost like a cell group worship kind of feeling. So that's how we do in our church. We sort of stop the whole, the music group and just have one guy singing as if he's in his home. That's what we do. And people say, wow, this is really good. Now we're joining in and enjoying it. That's what we do in our church. Yeah.
Wow, thank you, PC. Maybe from Pastor Leo or Pastor Dan, what do you think about the music ministry, or what changes have you done or would you suggest?
Like what Pastor Paul Chu said, we don't have a choir in our church, and I think it entails a lot of practice hours to do choir. So we never had, in all the 14 years that we had our meetings, and even up to now, we sing, of course, we sing. But to do choir, there are a lot of technologies now that it can be done from the comforts of your home. You can sing, like maybe put up 100 or 500 voice choir using Zoom. So I appreciate what they're doing, but mostly for our local use, we just go straight to the word.
Thank you, Pastor Dan. Here's another question. How were you able to hurdle the financial needs of the church, since a lot of people cannot give physically? Okay, so how did you overcome the problem or the struggle, and what did you do differently?
For our local setup in Atidasan, all through the years, we have really just looked to the Lord. We have not made giving or even passing the offering bag a big thing. But surprisingly, also these years, the Lord graciously provided even beyond we could ask or imagine. During this lockdown period, surprisingly, we have already gone 4 times distributing goods to the membership, but mostly the finances came in from generous Christian donors coming from abroad and also locally. But if you rely on the village people to give, well, of course, they need more, than they can afford. So we praise God for generosity. And of course, our church operates on a very low budget. We only have the utility worker to give salary to. Nobody else is paid.
Danny,
Okay.
you are a Baptist. Danny, you were a Baptist by roots. You don't sound Baptist anymore. What happened to you?
I just want to be a practitioner of the gospel message, Doc.
Okay. I think Danny is still bivocational, right? You still are bivocational.
Yeah,
I think he still does some work, earns a living as a lecturer in university. and I think his wife does some part-time work as a professional. She's a medical doctor, but basically they're full-time, but doing a little bit of tent making, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Danny?
Yeah, very true.
All right, all right. He's there much like me. I'm a full-timer, but I still earn some money, doing a bit here and there. Yeah.
There's one question here. Unless
Is
Pastor
Pastor
Leo
Leo in? Is Pastor Leo in? He could help us because Pastor Leo is not.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
I just need the host to unmute me because several times I. So now I'm in.
About offerings, yeah.
I think at first, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, I told our church that they can just make use of their offerings to help somebody who is near them. But after a while, we realized that we have some maintenance to pay, bills to pay. So what we did is we just do online. No other ways but to go online. And what surprised me is we are not prepared for that because we used to just give our offering on in the church. So my team now is working on the online offering. Yeah. So we are slowly coping up because I believe it's gonna be the way it should be. Yeah.
Do you think you're
Pastor
suffering, Pastor Leo? Are you suffering because salaries need to be paid and so on? Are you people suffering?
Not really. Not that much, Doc. I think our pastors and our staff are still coping up during this crisis.
Is it true because some of you guys are doing livelihood too? I mean, some of your pastors are actually trying to earn.
That one. I think the mindset of having a livelihood on how to work and earn some means that really helps. Yeah, that really helps a lot.
Okay.
Pastor Leo, maybe you can add to the answers given about the question. What do you do with your music ministry?
In the church settings, we just select a few since it's impossible to gather them. So we just select a few and do the congregational singing before our online. So maybe 3 to 5 person, and that things went well. And for the children, we are thankful for the Go Kids Asia. So that one thing we use every service, every Sunday morning, Sunday evening. Yeah. So thank you, Go Kids Asia. And I recommend that to your churches. Yeah.
Thank you. Now you can look for that on Facebook, Go Kids Asia, and they have these videos for children. There's another question here from Cheryl. How do you welcome and receive new people joining online? Maybe these are for this could work both for if you're doing Zoom or you're doing Facebook Live and you would see people wanting to join. How do you welcome them, knowing that we can connect as well as when we meet physically?
Who do you address it to? Who are you addressing it to?
I think maybe in the panel, those who have been doing online worship. I'm not sure who's doing it right now, online worship, and somebody comes in for the first time. How do you welcome them? Pastor Leo, have you experienced this? Have you had a first-timer join?
We have first-timer because of we encourage our member to do watch party. So there are some actually viewers that I do not know, but they just come and join because our members are doing watch party. And one thing also I really appreciate this online. Those people, those church members that we have from far away, abroad, working in Manila area, locked down in some other regions and provinces, they have a chance to join us. Well, in fact, normally we have about 400 to 600 views, several thousands. And I think in our church settings, where do we have 250 to 300 people on Sunday, maybe less than 100 are really paying attention. So when I realized that there are some few hundred views every live that we have, then I was encouraged to do it more and encourage our people also to share their this online preaching that we have every time that we go online. Yeah.
All right. In
Thank
my
you,
church,
Pastor.
yeah, in my church, what we have is we have meet the pastors session on Zoom, and it's bursting. A lot of new people. Actually, in my church, I honestly don't know the newcomers because it's kind of big. And in a typical situation, you just shake the hand, they walk by you, shake the hand, they walk by you. But because of Zoom, now they come in. And there's a meet the pastor session after our live service on Sunday on Zoom. And then you can actually see new faces and say, have I seen you before? Have I shaken your hand before? That kind of thing. So we can actually welcome them and we can actually talk to them. But in the church, it's very difficult because if you delay somebody, the guy behind gets angry that you're talking to this guy too long. You know, in Zoom, it's a little bit more friendly that you can invite them panel by panel, so to speak, new face by new face. Yeah. So I found it actually, I get to know more newcomers through Zoom than in my pre-COVID days when I actually walk around the church. Because when you walk around the church, you know, it's hard for the newcomers to come up to you and say, hey, I'm a newcomer, you know? Yeah.
Wow, just an announcement. Today is actually Pastor Errol's birthday. Pastor Errol,
I'm
happy
sure.
birthday.
Happy birthday, brother. I don't know what he's in. Yeah.
There's a question here about training leaders. How do you train leaders online? Maybe it's not talking about just preaching or doing Bible studies. It's specifically asking about how do you train leaders online?
Who are you
You want,
addressing to? Yeah.
Pastor Lay, or maybe Pastor Dan, both of you are having your leaders.
I'm getting most of my trainings also from the helps that Indigitus and other church groups are offering online. And but I believe that using an ordinary cell phone is the best way to train our church members. A simple call, a simple text can mean a lot. You see, discipleship is still one-on-one. And there are a lot of unlimited text and call on the same mobile service provider. Like I use Globe and I use Smart. Here we have two telcos giving service to our people. So I just call and I can pray with that particular person and I can follow up and ask them for whatever concerns they have. So this, I think, is the best way to minister and to train our people to reach out. You know, I cannot do it alone. We have to multiply ourselves by letting others do the work because we are only here to encourage them, but the ministry is to be done by the members. Also, the Ephesians 4 principle is supposed to be applied. Thank you.
Maybe you could expound on the Ephesians 4 principle.
Yeah,
Pastor
God
Dan?
gave gifts to the church, among which are pastor teachers, to prepare the saints, these are the members, to do the work of ministry. So the real ministers are really the believers that we have in our churches. So what are we doing with our members? Are we just, trying to portray that we can do it by ourselves? I don't think so.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Errol. There's somebody here who suggested about the question on how do you welcome people online. He said just greet them cordially, and Zoom makes it easier. So I think it's easier now to greet people than face to face. Thank you for that.
I think Pastor Leo can share about the training leaders because basically he's training the police leaders and the police leaders are training the squad leaders train their men. So maybe Pastor Leo can share about training leaders. I think he's expanded that now.
Thank you, Doc, for the opportunity. I just finished sharing with about 20 municipal executive senior police officer. These are MESPO. Is the city executive senior police officer. So these are the in charge of all the people in one station or in one city. And since we have this very good program, the the MBK, the My Brother's Keeper, and the Squad Weekly interactive meeting within the institution, I grabbed this opportunity to mentor this senior executive police officer. They are the ones who are really, eyeing every personnel in the station apart from the chief of police. So in what we do on Monday and what we discuss on Monday is the lesson also that they will be sharing to their squad leaders. And eventually, the squad leaders will share this to their squad, a squad of 8 people. So my ideal of reaching the leaders is no other way but via Zoom. So I have to be here on time every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and just talk to these leaders. So I think not only in the lesson that I am mentoring them. Well, in fact, when it comes to Zoom, what's a kind of not a funny thing, but I was also surprised that most of them are new with the Zoom. So I told my team that we are 3-5 steps ahead of them, so we can mentor them even how to improve their Zoom. How can they connect with us? And to have it and use it to their squad leader and their squad leader to their members. So I am focusing on the senior police executive officer. Yeah.
Okay. There's another question here. How do you help pastors who are resisting technology to, embrace it? Maybe it's talking about fellow pastors who are resisting, maybe or having a hard time to embrace technology. Maybe one of you, Pastor Leo, have you helped a fellow pastor transition?
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, we opened this opportunity to other pastors who would like to improve their their online preaching, and hopefully on Wednesday we will be having a short seminar for our values coaches or life coaches to the police. Okay? And then we will coach them how to use Zoom, and also how to improve their sounds and the background, and some other things that they need to, that is needful for them to become effective in their live streaming. Yeah. So there will be coaches. Now these are pastors who are ministering to the police.
Thank you, Pastor Lay. Pastor Dan, you have anything to add on how do you help other pastors, maximize technology who might be very hesitant about it?
Yeah, we haven't actually gone live, but the most we did was the Zoom and also Messenger on Facebook. But we have also really connected well with our people. Well, in terms of reaching out to my fellow pastors, I keep on encouraging them to really utilize what they have. Sometimes we are so caught up with having to, you know, keep up with the rest, by getting all the high technology, the gadgets that we so need. But I don't think those are necessary as yet. If we have a simple cell phone, we can go all over, the place, and really encourage people. Just a peso a day, probably. What I do with my messages, when I chunk it out, I send it to multiple members spread out in the province. So with just one click on my phone, I can send it to 60 others who will resend it to, I don't know where else. But I also minister to a family in Australia and a cousin in Finland, and also friends in New York and in the US. So I use Cebuano by all means. That's my heart language, so I can communicate well. There are a lot of English Bible study materials already, but to write it down in the vernacular, I think that's how the Lord has gifted me with. Thank you.
So Pastor Dan is basically telling us that it's not really being in the fad of the technology.
Yeah.
It's keeping the heart, which is of course what Pastor Elo said. The important is that they feel love. And I think texting and calling without using the internet has already been there.
Yeah.
In fact, the questions about, how about those who are in the mountains who don't have Wi-Fi, we have not talked about maximizing text and call, which is already there. And this is also very cheap. Oh, that makes sense, Pastor Dan. You put an in-between on the technology. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to add, maybe PC, on uh, maximizing or helping pastors maximize
Yeah,
technology?
I think this one of the purpose of this webinar is to encourage, encourage us. A lot of times it's just the hump, from changing from doing something we've been doing comfortably for many, many years. For me, it's like 40 years. All right. The hump is what we need, and that's what this webinar is for, basically to encourage us that ordinary people, for me, I'm 70 over years old, I can use technology. How can anybody younger than me say he can't use technology? It doesn't make any sense already. I'm the total non-tech. I'm a zero tech. All right. I've never opened Facebook, just for your record, because this is not my field. Right. But when this came about, I have my own studio now. I set up my own things. I didn't have a choice. Before I went to go to the office, my technician would be there, my crew would be there. Now, when COVID came, I just set up in my bedroom. I have a studio, and I'm doing like 3-4 sermons every day, but because it's just a hump you have to cross. And if you say that, wow, we are people who want to do God's will, and we know God's still on the throne, then if God's on the throne, he allowed COVID, he allowed quarantine. So what are we going to do? Tell God he's wrong? No. We just do our best, and then God will do the rest, So I think sometimes we just need to, be encouraged to just say, if God wants me to do it, I can. If Danny can do it, Leo can do it, I can do it, So if TC can do it, definitely I can do it. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, PC. Okay, we have one more question here. Every week, our church members have the access of tons of sermon, and a lot of them are following some popular yet theologically questionable teachings. How do you protect them from deceptions? How do you encourage patronage in your sound video teachings in comparison to their professionally well done, good quality, entertaining videos? This is from Pastor Sinon. So the question is, how do you protect or how do you warn your church members having access to all these well-made videos but are doctrinally poor? How do you protect them from that? Pastor Leo, maybe you can.
Now we offer our members like everyday devotion. We have everyday 8 to 9 devotion, Monday to Saturday, and night service we have 3 to 4 times a week. So we encourage them to follow our postings. I believe that if we will not offer them such lessons or such series of devotion and teaching, then this will give them enough time to find something else in the internet. And yeah, you are true that they will find a better presentations and good lighting, good videos, good dancing, or with whatever. So to address that, we make our live streaming almost every day. So they will still have the foundation to watch and to listen.
Pastor Dan, anything on that? Or maybe TC?
Yeah, I don't think Danny will have a problem because his guys won't have the internet thing too. Yeah, for my guys, I just advise them what's good. You know, if you don't advise them, then they have to go to the deep blue sea and look for something. You know, but you tell them, hey, this is a good stuff. These are good guys to listen to, and but basically, good stuff is abundant. I mean, there is tons of good stuff. But personal stuff is not abundant. You know, we are in information age. We have information overload on everything under the sun, including sermons. But we have a care underload. You know, people feel uncared for. People feel all these sermons are above their head. You know, I mean, you hear foreigners preach. You know, some white guy preaching to you from some foreign culture. I mean, what? It doesn't even sound right. You know, there's a hard language, there's a certain sense of this is someone who understands me. But if we don't provide that stuff, then they will start looking for entertainment, you know. But actually, the deep heart need is care, not entertainment, you know. There's a lot of entertainment. Why go for Christian entertainment? I mean, there's a lot of dumping and dancing stuff, you know. But when I go to the Christian stuff, I'm not looking for entertainment. I mean, that's the reality. If I look at entertainment, there's a lousy channel to look at. So when people go for a Christian channel, I think they're looking for care, for something personal, something that, you know, that somebody who understands me is talking to me. I think that is where we need to provide that care. So like Pastor Leo, he does it every day, you know. So they feel cared for. I mean, he just goes to the studio, maybe it's 5 minutes. Whatever. I do a podcast every day for certain groups of people, you know. So every day they hear 7 minutes from PC, you know, they feel cared for. And it's so easy in a studio to do that, you know. It's like, yeah.
Thank you. Pastor Arabelo was suggesting to counter false teaching. Then it is really getting our members to master and teach the truth, okay, to bring them back to the truth, and then they would have the protection against false teaching. Thank you for that, Pastor Arabelo. Pastor Nathan, not sure if he's a pastor, but he said, what can you advise about continuing ministries to kids in the slum areas? Any idea on how do you continue this ministry? Slum or crowded area?
Can I answer that? At the third session today, one of our team, Joel Senina, Nicholas, will be sharing on Go Kids. Okay, she's one of our panel speakers. And actually, we are producing Go Kids together, basically to reach kids. And we are talking about it's called Go Kids Asia, all right? It's not some white faces dancing around. It's not, but it's basically Asian faces. And it comes in Cebuano, it comes in I think it's now being done in Ilocano and Hiligaynon. So it is basically for our kids, you know, traditional Asian kids. So I think that will be a blessing. Yeah, it's you can just use that Go Kids Asia program. Yeah, so that's I think at 2:00 this afternoon. Yeah.
Okay, we'll reserve some of our questions for later, but